Good morning,
Yay.
everyone. Or
Good
good evening,
morning. Or
Chantal,
evening. Yes, it's evening here. It's morning for Chantal.
and
And
evening
I'm
for
sure
Rodine. Hello.
everywhere in between.
Yes, and everyone in between. That's exactly right. So each week we sort of work out what topic we're going to have, and it always seems to drop in last minute, doesn't it, Rodine? And it's something
Yes.
that either one of us has experienced or we somehow both have, and it's sort of that telepathic way of thinking. So today we're going to talk about when you're tired, do you create? How do you create? How can you support yourself? Do you push through or don't you? So that's something we talked about, because that happened for me yesterday. So, and anyone again watching replay, please comment. What would you do? How do you do this? Because it just makes always for interesting conversation, and to see what other people do to support themselves, or what aha moments you had.
Yeah.
So, all right, Roddy, would you like to start the conversation? What were your thoughts around it? Or should I do it?
I'm going to let you start today because I'm tired. My brain is tired.
Yeah.
I'm going to let you start.
Okay, and I'm happy to do that. And see, that's a really good thing, because I think doing this is a really good example of showing people and ourselves that actually, no, I don't want to start today. It's how do you set your boundaries? How do you say, actually, no, not this time? Because I know for me in the past, I would have gone, oh, yes, I'd do that, no matter how exhausted I am, and then put myself under pressure.
Yes. Yeah, I wouldn't have admitted that I was actually tired and my brain wasn't working, right? Yeah, I would have put on,
Okay, I can do
no,
this.
I'm sure everybody can tell I'm tired. I
Well,
don't think there's much hiding it.
no, I tell you what, if it was me yesterday, I would have been like that. So we're thinking about tiredness, because I was very, very tired yesterday morning. I'd had a huge week for me, a great week. And then something happened during the night, so I was awake and didn't sleep well. But I had made up my mind. I really wanted to do artwork in the morning, but I was really, really tired. I just couldn't get it together. I sent my partner off to work, and then I actually went back to sleep and slept solidly for 2 hours. So why I'm sharing this is because, yeah, it is, because once upon a time I would have pushed myself through. I would have waited. I would have pushed myself. And that's something I really learned from healing, from trauma. And I suppose it's easier when you're not working, is that now I listen. My body said it was tired. It's time to go back to work, bed. I had nothing else to do. And I think even then I may have put things off if, because, and that's another thing. Don't know about you, Rodine, or anyone who's listening, is I was brought up, you never put people off. It was plan A, plan A, plan A. I'm sure I've mentioned this before in the past, through the trauma, through my father. That was his way of keeping safe, getting to his next drink, all this sort of stuff. So, of course, I stayed in that space. I was the good girl.
Right.
Don't let anyone down, no matter how unwell. So how do you set those boundaries? And then with yourself. I mean, isn't that the irony? You can't set it with anyone else, but then you can't set it with yourself.
Yeah.
Because I'd made a plan. I was going to do art. I already had it all in my head what I was going to do. Anyhow, so I woke up still feeling, I don't know about anyone else. I don't know about you, Roddy, but sometimes when I have those deep morning sleeps, I get up grumpy.
It can happen. You still feel like you need more sleep, right? It's like your brain and your body are rested, but yet there's still, it's like, oh, some more sleep.
That's exactly right. And something's not quite there yet. So I was really glad no one was around, because I was Miss Grouch. Anyhow, I decided, and I know this is sounding a bit long-winded, and why I'm sharing the stories, because it's just giving you an idea of the process of what you can go through. So it gives you an idea of how you can process things too. Because I find that really interesting now, that self-reflection and self-determination we're taught in counseling is, I look at the process, what am I doing here? And particularly because I'm going to rethink of doing my 5-day challenge, but we're going to do it differently this time. And we're calling it, we're looking at, and I'm still getting my head around it. This is why I wanted to do this art, was, what was it? Meeting your inner Cruella, because Cruella came into my mind, and that's that inner bitch. But when I looked up Cruella, because all we think of the 101 Dalmatians, they based it on the Latin for cruel and mean. you know, because there's that meanness in us. But when I went and looked up what it also meant, she's bold, she's sassy, she doesn't care what other people think. So there's another side to this.
Interesting.
It is interesting, isn't it? So I was quite fascinated. So I thought, okay. So then I started writing. Anyhow, I wanted to do some artwork around this. But again, I was thinking, oh, I just don't feel like it. And the more I thought about it, wasn't so much doing the art I didn't feel like. It was the setting up of the art. Getting the paper ready, you know, sticking all the what do you call it, the tape around it. I was too tired to do that. So in the past, the old me would have gone, oh well, I just won't do it. I just won't do it. Then I would have let myself down deep within. I would have felt, and that's silly because again, why would I be letting myself down? There's that guilt that comes in, you know, that I should have done it, should have pushed myself.
Yeah.
So what I decided was, while I was sitting, you know, listening to my inner Cruella, my inner mean girl, it came to me, why don't I just do it differently? Do it, still do the art, but do it differently. Do it in a way that feels great. I did. And I tell you what, I felt amazing. But that was a big turnaround for me. So I'm going to actually show you what I did. So I really wanted to use, because Corella's black and there's white. So I actually ended up just getting my upside down paper. Instead of doing all the bits, you know, the bitty bits, I just literally did it over 2 big pages. And I let myself go. And as a consequence, what was amazing with this was I had a real sense of achievement. I had fun. It was mixed media. So I used acrylics and Posca pens and charcoal and ink and blew through the straw. By the time I'd finished, I was on a high. It had turned me around.
Excellent.
Yeah. So that's why I'm sharing that with you, everyone, because there's that fine line between doing it, not doing it, but how. So sometimes you might not need to do it. So, you know, it's important, or you can do it a different way.
Yes.
A different way.
I love that you did it a different way. Yeah. And I have a question for you. We'll get into all the other stuff because I love it. Did you have the pages open and full out and you just worked across both? Did that also feel different for you instead of being small, like to be able to get all that stuff and just be big about it?
Yes. Yes.
Whoa.
Yes, exactly. Well, because like you said, and as you know me well, we've been doing this for so many months now. When I first started, because I was so restricted, needing to feel safe and, you know, like this, I started really small because I was still cramped in my body, in my way of doing it. And slowly, I'm allowing myself to go out.
Yes.
So that's a really good question, because this was like, I was, whoa, here I am.
Really big.
Really big.
Yeah, and also fun that you didn't tape anything down. Now, I know that tied into the prep, the idea of prep.
Yes.
But also can also be a restriction, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. You've hit the nail on the head, because I never really ran out to the ends. And even my partner sort of said, well, why don't you fill it all in? Because partly was perfect. But I agree with you, because again, people do it. I realized perhaps to keep that beautiful perfection. It's in this.
Mm-hmm.
And I agree with you, because I think with my last piece of art that I showed last week, because sometimes peeling that tape off can still take paper off. And again, not perfect. So then you bother why you do it. But last time I made it part of the artwork. So again, there's a freedom in that.
Yes. Yeah. Ooh, it's so much fun.
It is. And, you know, talking with you, and I most probably will keep saying it every time we do this, has really helped me open up, because you're the opposite. You do massive art.
Yeah. Yeah.
Did you always start like that?
You know what? Ever since I was young, we had the Bob Ross show, right? He painted these gorgeous paintings in half an hour, and I always loved watching him. But this was before I really, aside from really loving it, right? I wasn't an artist or had any inkling that I was an artist then. But yeah, there's always been a part of me that wanted to paint big.
Yes.
And so I obviously that's a thing I really do enjoy. So this is kind of fascinating for me because when I am really, really tired, I I won't paint big. Like if I want to be creative, if I feel the need to do something, I go small.
Oh, is that interesting? Yeah.
Yeah. And it's usually like the neuro art is the
Yes.
latest thing where I can still just kind of relax and do something creative, but there's low stress, no stress, but I still tape around the edges because I love the look and you know, it is very contained and very precise, right? But for me, I find that it doesn't take I don't have to be on my A game in my head and feeling into my intuition and, you know, and when I am working on a big piece, there's a lot of body movement involved too, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
you know, lots of big brain work going on, lots of big body movements and stuff. So if I'm really pooped and I want to create, I like doing something small. So
Wasn't that
isn't that
funny?
funny, eh?
It is funny. I'm finding it interesting because when I first ever started, I loved doing with Flora Bowley. She's American and she did, of course, intuitive painting. That's how I started. And I did, ironically, do big canvases, but I was always a bit nervous
Right.
about it. But I still made them very busy. So I still was like doing the small ones busy.
Yeah.
So for me, and I found it interesting that I've gone from that to this to go back out again. And yeah, like, unlike you, it's the freedom in that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
for me, it was the freedom of that, which was interesting. Yet, on the other hand, while we sit here now that I'm talking with you in a little bit tired, and I showed this last time, I'm going back to just doing little doodles.
Just the doodles.
Just the doodles, because this is
Yeah.
easy. I don't have to think. I can listen to
Yeah.
you. I can talk. So it's interesting how we do things differently. Like you said, you go
Yeah.
small.
And I'm sitting just chatting with you and I have nothing,
Yes,
right?
that's right.
And it's like, nope, that's okay. Because my brain, I have had to, it's report card season for me again. And so it's been like a week of really late nights and I craft my report cards so carefully and it just
Yeah.
takes so much time and so my brain is exhausted. So I'm just here for the chat today and
Which I love. And I think, again, this is something I think is really important for us to know, is to know what's right for you
yeah.
right in that moment. And that is, for me, was part of one of the biggest part is healing from the trauma. Because I'd most probably been, I think I'd been like that all my life, the good girl doing this, doing that, even
Yeah.
though I broke rules and I did things differently. But when I went through the complex PTSD after the car accident, I reverted right back into this space of this type.
Yeah.
And, you know, behaving and doing what everyone else told me because I was just too all over the place to understand that I could set boundaries. That was too scary for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I didn't feel safe because I didn't feel safe in my body. Whereas now, you know, that big part of the healing has been, here I am, I listen to myself, I can say no, like what you're doing, you know, I'm tired, but I'm showing up still, despite
Mm-hmm.
the bags under my eyes. Mine are a bit better than
Yes.
yesterday. So, you know, that's right. Look,
So
yeah, that's right.
the glasses kind of help to blur them a little bit. It's
Yeah,
like,
that's
oh,
right.
yeah, not too bad.
But again, it's how can we show up for who we are? And I was just reading before we came on, someone had written a post, a beautiful post. She's letting her hair go, Greg. So I'm noticing now women are starting to talk about this more,
Yes.
younger women. And it was really lovely because she was talking about beauty and like men, you know, age well, women become haggard. You know, when you think of all these things,
Yeah.
and we shouldn't have grey hair, she's letting herself go because she's letting her hair go grey or, you know, blah, whatever. And again, I just think about how tired we as women must be to keep this constant facade up from society in our looks, but from within, from how we were brought up. This constant conflict, this constant tension, you know.
It's a lot of energy, isn't it?
It is. It is a lot of energy. It is a lot of energy. And it was something because I was reading the other day, because when I withdrew for those 4 years, that's what the pandemic gave me sort of permission to do. And I really enjoyed it being that. And someone said to me the other day, did you do it because were you sad or was it needed deep healing? I said, actually, it was very restorative. It wasn't sad. But I realized I slept a lot. I was very, very tired. And apparently that is part of healing, is when you let yourself stop. I realized I was allowing my body to really heal on a physical level, like a lot of just sleep, rest, quiet time, bits of art. Beautiful.
Yeah, it is. You know what? That is something that we don't really think about is healing does take a lot of energy for our bodies, and we do need rest. We do need that full on rest, like sleep. We call it lazy.
That's right.
If we just lie down and read a book for 5 hours or 2 hours or 1 hour, right? We have a tendency to say, to let that little voice in our head say, oh, you're being so lazy. You were so lazy, right? It's like, since when is self-care lazy? Exactly
right. And I call it, even this, to me, it's different to self-care. It's actually caring for self. For me, this is for me, but I agree, for self-care, yes, we have massage, do that. But for me, for caring for myself is I'm taking it to a deeper level.
Okay.
You know, that's, but all I'm making it just as a comment, because yes, where did self-care, why was that always called selfish? Lazy, you know? Should, like a friend were talking the other day, again, interesting how these topics come up, and she loves watching Netflix. That's her way of having, when she's stressed, she's going through something really traumatic at the moment, and her way of chilling out is watching Netflix. I read. But, you know, people don't understand that is not a form of that is just what she needs to just, you know.
Yeah.
But as you said, people see it as a negative. Why? That's her way of caring for herself, self-care.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think
we're all different, and
you
know. Yeah.
Exactly. We are all different. That's another thing why I'm learning now that I'm, as I say, back out again, back out of, you know, in the world and in myself, but back out, is that more and more I'm doing what's right for me, not what I'm told to do. And this is also running my business. I've had such a reaction to running my business. I'm tired of running my business. I love the work, but I'm tired of, I should be doing this, I should be doing that. You know, don't rely on Facebook, social media, you should have an email, blah, 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 blah. And it's exhausting, because who said? Who said?
Yeah.
You see, I got caught up.
Oh, go on.
No, it's okay. I'll talk. Yeah.
No, I was just going to say, I think anybody who does work in the online space, I think a lot of people struggle with that one.
Yeah.
Right. It's so necessary, and yet it can really become overwhelming all on its own and just feel like so much.
Yeah.
And we always, you know, we want to be successful online and build our businesses, but good golly, there are 9 million different ways to do it. And so many of them are all about, oh, do this, do this, do this, do this, which feels like way too much, right?
Yeah.
So
it is. And I think, like you said, and particularly, and I'm going to come back to trauma as well, or healing, or even if it's not trauma, if you've had a childhood where you weren't able to express yourself, your desires, wants, needs, all that sort of stuff. How it was shown to me was we no longer know how to discriminate. Is that for me or not? So, of course, we run with it. And as you said, there's 9 million different ways, but what about our way? We forget there's our way.
Yeah.
Because I said to my psychologist last year when I was working through all this and for the business, and I said, well, I can take what I want and leave the rest. She said, it's not even that, because you don't even know what you want to be able to leave the rest. I went, oh, that's a really good point, because at that point, I didn't know. Now I do.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I've been able to sift through how to run my business well. I want to have the structure, but I'm going to do a lot more my way, because why isn't my way right?
Yeah, well, it's perfect for you.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's why I like, in a way, with the counseling, well, again, there's good, bad counseling, all that, the person-centered one, because the idea with that is when you come to me as a client, or like when I go to my psychologist or therapist as a client, it's about me. It's about you as the client.
Yes.
So, it's there to bring it out in you. You're not told what to do. There's no advice giving, no judgment. And I love that. Whereas I feel when you go to a coach, which is what you do, they set you targets. If you do this, get this. If you do that, you'll get that. But for me, a lot of it is not including me in there. It's not about my personality or what I've been through or my insecurities or fears. So that's how so yeah. And like you said, it's exhausting.
It is. It is.
Because in the end, I couldn't work out what was right, wrong. And I just kept chasing. As they call it, the shiny object. I just kept going from one to the other because I couldn't. It took time. And that's why I just went, right, pandemic gave me the chance. I thought it'd be a few weeks. It took me a lot longer to go right. So I unbound myself from business, society, everything, to come back into this. Now, as we've gone off there, but that's about when you're tired, how do you create? So when you're tired, how do you lead your life?
Yeah, when you're tired, how do you run your business? How do you do the things that you might still need to do?
That's right. That's right. Run it, have a family, be with the children, be with your partner, husband, spouse,
Yeah. Yeah.
How do you do all that? How do you share openly, by the way, I'm tired? I need some time out, or, because we are drawn in so many different ways into different things.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I have to say, doing this yesterday was just, again, it's a small thing. To someone that could be small and go, so what? But this is the other thing we need to, what for someone is small is for someone else big, vice versa. Like we talk about big T's, little T's, there's all sorts of things. And but I walked out of the studio and went back upstairs and was like, yes.
Felt good, felt energized, felt kind of ready to tackle your day. And that's
exactly
awesome.
Right. It is awesome. And that now is the start of changing a track, because that's what the psychology, she calls herself changing tracks, because it's about how do you change the track. And I learned that in the Al-Anon programs, or when I was going for adult children of alcoholics, is changing that tape. How do you change that tape? So I've just done a first little change, like, okay, if I can't do it this way, it doesn't mean I don't do it at all. I could perhaps do it this way. And in that process is, how do you support yourself? So so that felt really, really good, and I didn't use a paintbrush. I just used spatula and the straw for the ink. I used my fingers a bit for the charcoal. Again, just experimenting, playing, because I was tired. I didn't want to have to think. I just went, oh, here. Oh,
I'm gonna do this, a little of this. Oh, I feel like playing with that.
Exactly.
That's nice too.
Yeah. And you've taught me that, how to just play, as does my partner, because he just says, it was fun and exciting. So for this week, it started off my week. So I've got another big week coming up, which is fantastic. But it was like, sometimes when I get tired, I get overwhelmed and nervous about the week.
Yes.
And what I need to do and want to do. And it's still that old text. I'm still changing the tracks there, because I was so tired for so long and so distraught and exhausted. My body still remembers that. So there's still that comes through. But now I'm teaching it, hey, I'm listening to you. I honor you. Let's go together. Let's go forward together. And it's really lovely being able to do that. So Now that I've done
Nice.
most of the talkings, I know you're tired. Is there anything you'd like to say as we come to the end? I mean, I know I'm a chatterbox, but
Oh, and I can be too, just not today.
just not today.
It would be, you'd start to get bits of my report card comments, probably. That's
Yeah. And this is again showing each other how to honor each other, how to be there for each other, how to support. And that's that empathy that, people is talking about now and Brené Brown brought in. You don't have the same story. You might not understand that story because it's beyond your, but you can understand the emotions, you can understand the feelings, and that's where you tune in. That's my interpretation of what it said, and it's changed my life. Because also when you get clients coming to you, you never know what you're going to come up with. But it's their reality, it's their truth, it's your truth right at this moment. This is your truth.
Yep. Absolutely.
And sometimes when you're being just sitting there and you feel heard in that truth, that gives the foundation to then allow yourself to look at, is that really true in the end? How can I change that? Is it perceived, how can I reframe that? Is it that bad? Isn't it? Could be, all those things. Then you're able to explore.
Yes. Yeah.
That's the power of it all. So anything else anyone like to say? Hi, Nikki. Hi, Marjorie. Thank you for watching. Any comments? Let us know. Same for those of you on YouTube. Please do.
Yes.
And go forth, as they say. So know that this week, feel that you're tired, acknowledge you're tired, and look at what can you do to support yourself, whether at work or like yourself as a teacher. What can you do to support yourself in that, no matter how small? And even if you want to share it in the comments, do, because once you do that, you can then keep building on that.
Yes. Yeah. And maybe it is take 5 minutes to just sit and read a book, or sit and breathe, or.
That's right. Push yourself away from your desk. That's right. And then look at, I know this sounds, because this is the way I do it. When you feel ready, then reflect, push away. How does this make me feel? Like, how does my body change? Because once you understand your body, it becomes a lot easier. Then you listen, you act. So for me now, that's what alignment calls. I'm aligned with my body, mind, and soul. Most of the time. Most of the time. So, everyone. Thank you, everyone.
Have a great week, everybody.
Yes, and look forward to seeing you next week. Adios.
Bye for now.
Bye.